My name is Katie Simmons, President and CEO of the Chico Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to welcome you to the 2018 Business Summit and State of the City Address. Thanks for joining us. I would like to start by thanking our key sponsors for supporting the Chamber as community impact partners, our legacy partners, Levity HR and Payroll, Tri-Counties Bank, Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, Golden Valley Bank, and Orange Theory Fitness, and our visionary partners who are listed up there on the screen. I would also like to thank the City of Chico for co-hosting this event with us year after year, and CARD for generously co-sponsoring this room for us. We're joined by a number of distinguished guests today, of course our mayor and several city council members, city staff, board members for the Chico Chamber. And we're joined by Assemblyman Gallagher, Senator Nielsen, and I believe Congressman LaMalfa. On today's agenda, we will hear a special report delivered by the 2018 Chairwoman of the Chico Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, a downtown update by Melanie Bassett, Executive Director of the Downtown Chico Business Association, a Chico economic snapshot from Mark Francis, President and CEO of Golden Valley Bank, and of course, a State of the City address presented by Mayor of the City of Chico, Sean Morgan. Following Mayor Morgan's presentation, we will host a moderated Q&A session with our panel. So what you see up here on the slide is a yellow question card. If I can have my volunteers in the room hold up the question cards, we'll need you to jot down your question, hand them to a volunteer, we'll bring them up to us, and we will be moderating that Q&A portion at the end of the day. So if you have any burning questions, as many as you want, go ahead and submit those, and those will come up to me. As we move into our program, I'd like to turn your attention to our screen here where we will be playing our Community Vision video. This video was produced by BCAC TV in cooperation with the Chico Chamber and a number of our community partners. The video is a celebration of what Chico is and what we all work so hard to preserve and enhance. Healthy communities come from healthy businesses and strong public-private partnerships, which really is a theme for today. Following the video, we'll hear from Anastasia Snyder. Let's go ahead and run that.
I see a thriving business community where we look at it that this is our town, this is our home. Our customers are our friends and family and neighbors, so we have this optimism that we are going to make this a great place to live and work.
The property owners are really interested in protecting our vitality in our downtown and have it be thriving. We have a lot of new businesses. We have many people that are looking at coming into our downtown. So downtown is bustling with business.
Specialty leasing here at Chico Mall provides a wonderful opportunity for entrepreneurs to try out a brick and mortar concept, and it really empowers concentrated developments like Chico and provides significant contributions to our local economy.
Anybody who has a workforce can grow a business, and companies will thrive better if they're next to another business that they can find support, and then everybody kind of grow off each other. Just working with the city, we have their full support, and it's important to your company, it's important to any company that's trying to grow in Chico to have a city that wants to support that.
I know that collaboration and working together is the ultimate way that we're going to be able to preserve this amazing asset to our community. With CARD and City Public Works, I see a lot of collaboration taking place that the community isn't aware of.
The amazing relationship between the city and the farm community, it's really something you can't separate. Mental hospital, the great banks we have, the university, it really makes it a special town. And you can't understate the value of the people. They're all community minded and they realize that whatever they do contributes to the overall value of the whole.
People are caring and they're concerned about their neighbors, they take care of each other. And working in a nonprofit, I get to see that on a daily basis. People are very, very passionate about the causes that mean something to them.
Our community has put over $280 million for facility improvements for our students in the last 20 years. When you have a community that says we're going to open our own pocket because we believe so much in education and we believe in our kids, that's a special place to be.
I think something that seemingly is so insignificant as a camera project would have such a profound effect to me is very gratifying, and it came out of really a grassroots effort between the city and the university and student organizations and the chamber and businesses.
We talk about the relationship between town and gown in this community. From putting the cameras up to the funding, it was truly the community of Chico coming together to make this a safer campus and a safer community. And when we work together like that, there's not a city in the country or the state that can do better than Chico, California is right now.
It's just a great place to live. It's a small town with lots of outdoor activities and great weather. And at the absolute core of it, it's a culture thing.
I'm always so inspired when I see that video. And thank you to BCAC TV and to all of our partners. Sorry, I'm going to need these today. To all of our partners who appear in the video. It's such an important celebration of what makes this community so incredibly special. So it's good to be here today, launching the special report authored by our task force on city revenues and expenditures on behalf of the Chamber Board of Directors. It's a long time in the making. For a bit of context, stepping back a few years, the Chamber prioritized directly addressing issues facing business and the community. Quality of life became central to our vision, with crime reduction at the top of our advocacy platform. Launching the community vision in 2015 created a set of goals, like police and roads, to make Chico the safest, most vibrant, premier city in the North State. We focused on thriving business community, healthy local government, safe community, and premier arts and recreation facilities, which we all know are the components of a strong and welcoming community. So we set out with our collaborative partners to begin to advance this ambitious agenda, but in order to do so, we needed to understand what the roadblocks were to getting to this vision. Therefore, in 2017, the Chamber Board unanimously voted to form the Task Force on Revenue and Expenditures. The goal was to look from a third-party perspective at community needs, city revenues to address those needs, and conduct an analysis of expenditures. The task force, comprised of community members with various backgrounds, focused on a two-pronged approach, analyzing both data and business anecdotes gathered over the recent years on business walks and at anchor business listening sessions. And it was so critical that the city was an integral partner and resource in this effort. Both the Administrative Services Director and the Assistant City Manager reviewed and shared financials, including past and projected trends. As a result, we now have the special report from the task force in front of us, which combines this research and recommendations for police, roads, fire, and pensions, and include a concise call for action. So here are some of the highlights. With police, we were fortunate that the police chief spent a great deal of time with the committee. Looking at state crime statistics, though, Chico's numbers are alarming. We are at the bottom 18% of cities on the California Crime Index. The committee asked, what would it take to reverse these numbers and move us from the bottom to the top quartile of safe cities? The clear response we received was the need for 17 more officers to allow the staffing of special enforcement teams and a crisis unit to help address the transient issue. In addition, new dispatch equipment, software, and the related staffing are needed to be efficient and effective in responding to crisis. With regard to roads, we appreciated that the Public Works Director provided a primer on road conditions measured by PCI, Pavement Condition Index. On a scale of 1 to 100, with 100 being perfect roads, the goal would be to have a PCI score of 80. Chico is 57 and dropping, with many of our major roads at a PCI of 20 or below. This is alarming, and what should be noted is that it is 14 times more expensive to reconstruct a road than to properly maintain it. Unfortunately, we are largely past the point of maintenance. To bring our major roads, arterials, and collectors up to a standard will cost about $90 million. We need approximately $10 to $12 million a year, and the gas tax and waste franchise funds will increase available funds to only approximately $3 million a year. With regard to fire, we are all aware that the fire department has seen staffing cut dramatically with the loss of the SAFER grant. The city has gone from 6 stations to 4 stations, and in addition, the county eliminated 2 Chico stations, stations 42 and 44, which were responding primarily to city calls. The study done by the fire department would call for 9 to 12 additional firefighters at a cost of about $1.2 to $1.5 million annually. With regard to PERS, finally, the elephant in the room, the Public Employment Retirement System. As some of you know, PERS was superfunded in 2000 at about 128%. So PERS sent a letter to all the member agencies saying they could and should increase retirement benefits since there would be no cost to do so. Virtually every agency dramatically increased retirement benefits, including the city of Chico. PERS then proceeded to lose half its value in the recession and is now only 67% funded. The result is a hefty bill to the city of $130 million to pay for unfunded liability, which translates to an increase of $6 to $8 million per year over the next 30 years, with no means to fund this. Further, the courts are making it difficult, if not impossible, to make any changes to the retirement system. So what are the recommendations? Taking into consideration all this information, the task force made the following observations and recommendations to the Chamber Board. There is a need for approximately $2.5 million a year to adequately fund the police department. The road systems need to be repaired, and consideration should be given to dramatically increase road funding with or without SB1 to meet the PCI goal. The city should explore sustainable solutions for the safety of firefighters and our community as it relates to fire protection. And the pension liability needs to be addressed solely by the city. The public should not be asked to assume this cost. Steps must be taken to minimize the city's risk and exposure. So after careful consideration and much conversation, the Chamber Board at its annual retreat voted to recommend the city consider a revenue measure to fund business and community priorities such as increasing police and improving roads. However, it was noted that any measure must be structured in a way as to avoid these dollars being used for any other purpose. So we bring this forward to start an important community conversation about funding our community goals and increasing our quality of life, not only for existing businesses, but for generations to come. We look forward to answering any questions during the Q&A period at the end of Mayor Morgan's city address.
Thank you, Anastasia. The release of the special report is certainly not the end of the conversation. It is merely the beginning. It is posted on our website, chicochamber.com. It will be available at our office. And the Chamber will continue to convene critical meetings, both with businesses and the community, encouraging healthy debate about questions that lie before us as a community, because we do have some serious questions that we need to answer. And I am, of course, available for your comments and questions. Now I'd like to welcome Melanie Bassett, Executive Director of the Downtown Chico Business Association, to the podium to give us our Downtown Chico update.
Thank you, Katie. Good afternoon. It's so great to see so many of you here today. That represents to me that we have a very caring community that wants to be informed, and I certainly know our new fire chief is very impressed with this attendance. Today I'm addressing you wearing 2 hats, both as the Executive Director of the Downtown Chico Business Association and the Executive Director of the newly formed Property Owners Improvement District. The DCBA and the PBID are separate entities with separate board of directors, both having a common purpose, however, the health and well-being of Downtown Chico. As many of you are aware, the Downtown Chico Business Association has long been a strong advocacy and marketing organization that supports a downtown environment that will flourish and prosper way into the future, one that we're proud to have really as the heart and soul of our community. We strive to cultivate downtown into a consistently safe, clean, and friendly community center for everyone to enjoy. So with its variety of unique businesses and fabulous dining establishments, our top priority is to ensure that everyone has a good experience in downtown Chico, night or day, and that they will return to shop, dine, play, and stay. Most of you have with you, that were on your seats, our 2017 annual report, which shows you our DCBA board priorities for the year, our achievements, and details some of the important community collaborations that we're very proud of that took place in 2017. The big news story, however, is the PBID. As part of DCBA's efforts to improve and maintain the vitality of downtown Chico and to promote economic prosperity, a coalition of property and business owners and I spent the better part of 2 years bringing the Property Owners Improvement District to fruition. The PBID was unanimously endorsed by the DCBA and Chamber Board of Directors and was approved by an overwhelming 82% majority, all voluntarily agreeing to invest nearly $500,000 annually in the cleanliness and safety of downtown. We also appreciate the City Council for their support in this endeavor as well. The PBID is a game changer and truly a watershed moment for downtown, led by the private sector, creating another public-private partnership aimed at addressing what's long been the #1 business priority, a safer community. These are some of the overarching goals of the PBID. I don't think I need to read them. This is the flyer that was also on your seat that you received today outlining the services provided by the Downtown Chico PBID Ambassador Program. It represents 250 plus hours a week of services, making our downtown friendlier, safer, and cleaner. The flip side of the flyer shows you the district boundaries, hours, and provides contact information, including the hotline number. James Q. Wilson, from his book, The Broken Window Theory, says public order is a fragile thing, and if you don't fix the first broken window, soon all the windows will be broken. Our PBID Ambassador Clean Team was deployed first in mid-November to ensure a cleaner downtown for the holiday season. Cleaning bridges the gap, directly affects standards, and has shown to reduce the overall crime rate. We have a new branded truck, if you haven't seen it, it's very bright, with the hotline number on it and a commercial pressure washing system, and that program started this week in earnest, and it will continue to be done on a regular basis throughout the district. Here's a quick view of what was accomplished in the first 45 days. The most visible impact has been the removal of over 10,000 pounds of litter and debris in the first 45 days. I want to acknowledge our partners, Eric Gustafson, Jason Bougie, Skylar Lipsky, and Linda Herman from Public Works, Operations, Maintenance, and Parks for their hard work and dedication to working together with us, forming a very strong team to address ongoing opportunities and initiatives. Thank you. Safety. Safety is the top priority at all times for the ambassador team. The ambassadors maintain a highly visible presence throughout the district, making business contacts, providing public safety escorts when requested, and reporting and tracking actionable information to base safety decisions on. The PBID ambassadors are coordinating directly with Sergeant Cesar Zendable and the target team to establish protocols and a collaborative approach to public safety and quality of life offenses. Hospitality. On average, ambassadors provide assistance more than 13 times a day. Services include giving directions, being welcoming, giving information, courtesy escorts, outreach services, and referrals, as well as support to downtown merchants. Our downtown district currently has 443 member businesses, which covers 48 square blocks, and continues to experience progress and growth. This slide shows you the breakdown of the types of businesses. The restaurant boom continues this year. I talked about it last year. Currently, there are close to 60 food and beverage establishments in downtown, with the demand continues for an increase in outdoor patio dining experiences. Opening this year, we have Teller's Bites and Brews, LaSalle's with interior improvements and patios on the street and in the back, Chico Coffee Company, locally owned couple, and moving to the previous Pete's location. They're opening very soon. Also opening this year is Lemon Shark Pokey, one of the fastest growing pokey franchises in the United States. Bill's Town Lounge next to Formal Education and the new Chico Coffee Company, and Om Foods, expected to open in February, organic food and catering. An important planning project to watch in 2018, which we're all very excited about, is the Moorhead building renovation at 336 Broadway. The city received an architectural review application to renovate the existing building and incorporate similar details that were found in the original building, constructed in 1904. The proposal also includes a unified awning with integrated signage, a sidewalk dining area, and interior renovations, including 16 additional rooms for hotel dining. It will be a signature building overlooking Downtown Plaza. With regard to marketing and communication, our downtownchico.com website is designed to help grow our downtown businesses by marketing to both visitors and locals. The website is the centerpiece of our online communication and marketing efforts. Our recent, you'll see the folks at the top, our recent Heart and Soul piece featured 10 downtown Chico icons on the website, which you can read about on the home page. These are merchants that have been downtown for over 40 years. It's amazing. 433 downtown businesses have taken advantage of free advertising with their own individual microsites to market everything from ours and social media, etc. Our website and our social media resources really do provide us with the opportunity to actively engage with the community and our stakeholders, which allows us to better shape the direction of our organization and serve our community. The 8 signature events that have been offered for 30 and some for over 40 years has grown to 10 this last year with the addition of our first restaurant week and the art, wine, music, and ferry door walk, both of which were very successful. These placemaking events encourage and facilitate civic engagement and community interaction, the outcome of which encourages people to have a sense of ownership and place and connectedness to Chico. These represent over 60 events, actually, in total in downtown Chico. So what's next in 2018? To deliver on the PBID street-level services, to continue to partner with the city and the Chico Police Department, the Chamber, and the Beautiful, Clean, and Safe Action Group on what we're calling 2018, the Year of Accountability, strategies for comprehensive community policing model, which you'll hear more about a little later from our mayor. So really it's striking that balance between accountability and compassion. And it's something that we're all striving to achieve. And to strengthen destination marketing and promotion of downtown and bigger markets, Chico, Sacramento, San Francisco, and lastly, to address with PARC, the Parking Access and Resource Committee, downtown parking management as it pertains to circulation, access, evening and weekend metering, additional smart meters, and other parking convenience technology. I'd also like to thank our partners from the engineering side of Public Works, Brendan Auduboni and Wyatt West, for their hard work and partnership. Thank you. Lastly, this is this is a photo of our hardworking board of directors, almost all of them. Our board and staff, a very small staff, are very proud of what we accomplished. In 2017. However, we must continue to think and act strategically to move downtown Chico forward. So I'd like to close by taking just a moment to say that that renewed spirit of cooperation and collaboration that I spoke about last year continues and in a much bigger and more meaningful way. For 2 years, the Chico Police Department and Team Chico held a series of very well-attended community safety meetings. And the Beautiful, Clean, and Safe Action Group, also 2 years ago, launched the Beautiful, Clean, and Safe campaign with a series of PSAs on Action News Now from 8 of our very well-known leaders. Here's Mark Owen.
Downtown Chico. Together we can work to keep it beautiful, clean, and safe. Visit www.chico.ca.us and click on the BCS logo to find out how you can participate.
Let's keep Chico beautiful, clean, and safe. It's our community, our responsibility.
Good job, Mark. Our community, our responsibility. So the good news is that our community has been paying attention, and instead of complaining, they're coming together in a big, significant way to be a part of the solution. Today, there are close to 11,000 users on Nextdoor, the virtual neighborhood watch. We have active Facebook pages such as Chico Stolen Bikes, providing intel for the Chico PD. Chico Community Watch Group carrying out major cleanups all over the city, is a citizen volunteer group dedicated to protecting the quality of life for everyone in Chico and the surrounding area. With a boots-on-the-ground attitude, they take action, direct action, to solve issues in a peaceful, respectful, and honorable way. And another is Chico First, a platform for coalition building and community participation on initiatives aimed at public safety and quality of life issues affecting the city of Chico. They're committed to the unity of purpose, direct action, and ongoing vigilance. I personally am very encouraged by all this, and I think we are so fortunate to have thousands and thousands of people in our community that represent a diverse coalition of citizens who share a desire to make Chico first in quality of life and public safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. I want to add a couple of comments about the property-based improvement district, because I think it illustrates sort of what's possible. I know it was tried in 2004 and was not successful. It was tried again in 2014, it was not successful. It was tried again in 2017 and it was successful. So great things like this don't happen overnight, but when we get started and when we work together and when we believe in something and when it's the right time, great things happen. Just like the tourism-based improvement district, which was formed again just 2 years ago, now $500,000 generated to go directly toward outbound tourism marketing for Butte County. So these types of projects are really incredible. With that, I'd like to introduce Mark Francis to the podium. He is President and CEO of Golden Valley Bank, and he is here to present the Chico Economic Snapshot. Mark?
Thank you. So, the Chico Economic Snapshot provides a look at the Chico economy by using 5 seasonally adjusted and equally weighted categories: sales tax, building permits issued, average housing sales prices, transient occupancy tax, and employment rate, and then comparing each of those categories quarterly using the first quarter of 2007 as the base year. Because the components can be volatile from quarter to quarter, we look at trends over time. Why are we looking at third quarter data instead of fourth quarter data? Well, sales tax and TOT numbers aren't really available until about 2.5 months after the quarter, so we won't get the fourth quarter complete data until the end of March. On the flip side of the snapshot is the Chico Business Confidence Survey, a 5-question, multiple-choice survey of how local business owners and managers feel about the prospects of their own businesses in the year ahead, and how they feel the local and national economies will perform over the next 12 months. So the snapshot gives you this backward look, and the survey gives you a forward look on business owners' opinions for the next year. From the snapshot, it's easy to see the depths of the recession with our number in the 70s and where it is today, fully recovered at 110.4, with an upward trend that really looks pretty impressive. We've had a couple of off quarters, but there's a specific reason for that, and I'll get to that in a minute. However, at 110.4, that's a 40% improvement from the first quarter of 2011. I think most of you in this room have experienced that wind in your sails. So let's talk a little bit about the components. The snapshot is a summary. The charts you're going to see on the screen for each are for the components. This detail and more is available on the Golden Valley Bank website, and I encourage you to go there to take a look at it and to take a look at our historical numbers. Sales tax just keeps marching on, varying very little from the trend line, and it continues to amaze me. All of the online sales and local sales tax is still up. I don't know about you, but when I wheel that recycling container out to the curb, it used to have cans and bottles in it. Now it's stuffed with cardboard. Maybe it's sales tax on gas and diesel for all the delivery trucks that are driving around. Whatever the reason, sales tax is up over 40% from the recession low and was at an all-time high in 2017. Very good news for the city's budget. But I do have a hard time predicting that this can continue. However, as Melanie likes to hear, shop local. Building permits, tremendously volatile, even when we seasonally adjust them. However, the long-term trend is definitely up, and I don't think that's news to anybody who's talked to a contractor lately. We've got kind of a shark tooth effect going on here. These big spikes and equal spikes going the other way. We've had a tremendous spike in building permits earlier in the year to beat code changes, particularly environmental code changes. It appears that we are continuing to ride that wave, as permits have understandably been down the last couple of quarters. But even then, combined activity in the last 3 quarters is greater than any 3 consecutive quarters in the last 10 years. Builders are busier than they've ever been, and it's looking pretty good for the foreseeable future. The big spike that you see that we just had is the reason our overall snapshot has been down the last 2 quarters. However, with all the work that's going on, it certainly is stimulating our local economy. Housing prices, up again after a weak first quarter with an average sales price of $347,000. We do have fourth quarter numbers in, and they were up again 3% to $357,000. Average sales prices are comfortably above where they were in 2007. There were 1,449 sales to the Chico MLS in 2016, and that's down just a fraction from 2015. But I think that's more a function of supply than it is demand. Homes spent an average of just 39 days on the market in 2017 versus 47 days in 2016 and 60 days in 2015. Inventory is still the biggest challenge for home buyers, with only 135 homes on the market at the end of 2017, or about 1 month's supply, versus 166 at the end of 16, and 205 at the end of 2015. So home prices are going to continue to increase if we don't do something about the supply in this community. TOT, the hotel bed tax, which is really a reflection of the local tourism industry, was up for the 4th quarter in a row and over 20% in the last year. Occupancy rates are certainly high, and demand is definitely up. But much of the increase is attributed to increased room rates, as the TOT tax is a percentage of room rate. With the expected addition of a couple more hotels in Chico, we should continue to see TOT go up as we capture more of those visitors during the busiest weeks and weekends of the year. It's still a very good time to be in the hotel business in Chico. Employment. You notice I said employment and not unemployment. We follow the actual number of jobs in the county. I don't think unemployment figures are a real accurate representative of the job market. Employment is the primary driver of economic success in our community. I put a red star by that, so I'm going to read it again. Employment is the primary driver of economic success in our community. We're up 765 jobs in the 3rd quarter, and we have over 97,000 residents employed now in the county. That's over 1,500 more than a year ago, and puts us 2% above where we were pre-recession in 2007. There are over 11,000 more jobs in the county than in late 2011 when we hit bottom during the recession. 11,000 more jobs. That's like Marysville. We've really progressed a long way. If you flip over your economic index, you'll get to the business confidence survey. That 65.6 number you see is a pretty good jump from June and indicates a real high level of confidence of our business owners. And we took this survey before the new Trump tax plan was adopted. Now, I recognize a couple of things. One, it's not a scientific survey. We only ask business owners and managers. And two, if you are a business owner or manager, it's just in your DNA to be optimistic. And if you're not, then you're doing the wrong thing. But as we look back, the optimism in previous surveys has really played out. In this survey, 71% are looking at an increase in sales, with just 5% thinking their sales will go down. 64% of us are looking at increased profits, with just 4% expecting a decline. 38% of us are looking to increase staff, and just 3% thinking they'll be cutting positions, meaning that those employment numbers should continue to go up. Here's an interesting part. 50% think local business conditions will be better in the next 12 months. In June, that was about 62%. That's a pretty good drop. But I got to tell you, most of the folks who thought that they were going to be better, that changed their mind, moved from better to same. And that means that 96% of those surveyed think the local business conditions will be better or the same. And after 2017, I'm pretty happy with the same. 70% think business conditions in the U.S. will be better. Let's think about that for a second. 50% think local business conditions will be better, but 70% think U.S. conditions will be better. Welcome to California. Before I get to our current hot topic, last year we asked, over the long haul, how do you think a Trump presidency will affect the economy? Over the long haul, how do you think a Trump presidency will affect the economy? 74% said they thought a Trump presidency would be good for the economy. So, you know, maybe these surveys are a little more accurate than even I think. Our current hot topic, 48% said they would support a tax to maintain and improve Bidwell Park. I'll tell you, I was a little surprised by that. I thought the number might be a little bit higher. However, my friend Tom Lando right here, who's on the cardboard, was pretty happy saying, we haven't even started a campaign yet, and over half the people already support us. So you gotta look Tom. Being a banker, I frequently get the interest rate question. You know, are interest rates going up or down? Let me turn the tables a bit. This is the audience participation time. If you think interest rates went up in 2017, raise your hand. If you think interest rates went up in 2017. Okay, if you think interest rates went down in 2017, raise your hand. Okay, so if you raised your hand, you were right. And in fact, if you didn't raise your hand, in your indecision, you were right too. Some rates are up, some rates are down. The prime rate started the year at 3.75%, prime rate being short-term rates. Ended the year at 4.5%, up 0.75%. A 30-year mortgage with a 0.5% fee on New Year's Eve 2016 was 4.32%. By the end of the year, 3.99%. Dropped about 1/3%. But let's get real here. When I started my banking career in 1982, the prime rate was 17%. And that was down from 21.5% in 1981. A 30-year mortgage with a 2% fee, not a 0.5% fee like those other ones I was talking about. 2% fee, 30-year mortgage, 14.75%. So you know, we're still looking pretty good. And then how about those famous leading economists? I envision there are economists out there that say, John Smith, leading economist. I don't know exactly who they are, but 95% of them predicted the 10-year treasury rate would go up in 2017. They were wrong. But you know, they actually had a pretty good year because in most of the previous years, 100% of them were wrong. So if you were to ask me today, if I think interest rates in 2018 are going to go up or down, I would say, yes, I think interest rates will go up or down in 2018. But overall, this is a great report. Our results from 2017 are really good. The optimism that we continue to show both locally and nationally is half the battle, and I'm confident that we are in store for a great 2018. Now, if you're interested in participating in our business survey, you can contact me either directly or through the email that's on the screen. If you want to receive notifications of the survey when it's released, you can contact me or hit the email on the screen. And of course, you can always like us on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Having presided over these business summits and State of the City addresses for a number of years, that was a very glowing report. We have heard differently in previous years. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mayor of the City of Chico, Sean Morgan, to the podium to deliver our State of the City address.
All right, so the State of the City is kind of an odd thing. It is dependent a little bit on the economy, a little bit of the State of the Union, a little bit of the State of the State, which in this state is California, all of which cause some manner of problems for the city. I do want to start off with a quote from the book. Anybody read Chico, Life and Times, The City of Fortune by Deborah Moon? It's an older book. It's fantastic. Lots of good pictures. What? The Chico lifestyle is enviable. The city of Chico is in the right place at the right time, and its history is rich and complex. There will always be something new and interesting to learn about Chico. And they're pretty right. As far as Fortune goes, I also want to quote the Chico Enterprise Record, Wednesday, the 24th, just the other day. Editorial, Chico economy paying dividends with business-friendly politics. The Milken Institute's national rankings of economic performance of cities ranks 201 small cities and 200 large ones to show where America's jobs are created and sustained. Among small cities, Chico is 11th in the nation. The index measures statistics in 9 categories to determine which cities offer the greatest opportunities for prosperity and innovation across the nation. Chico's ranking in most metrics has improved drastically in the last 5 years. Its best marks were for 5-year wage growth, 6th in the nation, and 1-year job growth, 16th in the nation. Just 5 years ago, Chico was 122nd for 5-year growth and 174th for 1-year job growth. This is something to celebrate, not just the city, and you heard it in the video, you heard Katie and Anastasia and Mark and everybody and Melanie. This is the collaboration that comes when a city and a staff and a university and all of these different service providers work together for the betterment of the community. So everybody should be clapping for themselves. It wasn't good enough, however, for Amazon. Amazon announces its list of 20 candidates for its second headquarters, and we didn't make the list. Well, who needs Amazon when you got Sierra Nevada, Fifth Sun, Lulu's, Work Truck Solutions, Chico Bad, Chico State, Transfer Flow, Golden Valley Bank, Tri-Counties Bank, Modern Construction. I could go on and on and on and on. You know what's cool about every single one of those companies? They started in Chico. Homegrown. The city of Chico is open for business, which is more than we can say for the federal government last week. All right there. Sorry, Doug. But we know it wasn't you. I'm getting an evil eye from the back. So here's where we're going to start. Some of the state of the city stuff is almost like the Oscars for the city staff because they don't always get a chance to be heard. Here are the wonderful things that we're doing. And the citizens, it's just human nature to wonder if you don't see something happening, you wonder, what are they doing with my tax dollars? Is something really happening in the city of Chico? There's a lot of stuff happening. And all I am today is the voice of the staff that has made all the wonderful things happen, and the stuff that's going to happen, I am just the voice. So anything that you don't like about my presentation is really staff's fault. So we start with the revenue sources, and you heard Mark talk about a little bit. Where does all the money come from? Well, primarily it comes from sales tax. That's why I get so excited when our businesses are doing so well. They pay for the firefighters, and they pay for the police department, they pay for the roads, although I know not as much as you'd like. Property taxes are next. Property taxes in lieu of vehicle licensing funds. Mark talked about the transient occupancy tax, which I thought for years was what the transients paid to live here, and I thought we should be in a great financial position, but apparently that's not where the money comes from. So this is where we get all the money. Where does it all go? 80% of it goes to salaries and benefits. We're a service-oriented organization. We don't make widgets. We don't make stuff. So most of the things we spend money on are salaries and, yes, pensions and benefits and those things. And then there's some other allocations up there. For those of you, and some of you email me or call you call the vice mayor and other council members and say, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just cut this in half and move it over here and fix the road and do all those different things? There is so much legality and unions. I have no problem with our unions. It's just not that simple. And if you went out and benchmarked other cities in California and the nation, see, well, how well do they do it? Most of them would be right about here. It costs money to provide the services that our city provides its citizens. So how do we break that down? This is going to be a big mess by the time I'm finished. Because now I'm on slide 3. So 48.8% goes to the police department. Public safety is our number one priority. It has been since I've been on the council 5 years ago. We said public safety is number one. And we were suffering big time in public safety. At one point, we were down around 65 police officers. I'm going to come back and talk about that. Fire is next, because fire is part of public safety. Okay, whether it's a fire or an accident, when you call 911, you want somebody to call. I mean, you want somebody to come. Generally, it's the fire department that's showing up. Whether it's your kitten stuck in a tree or your son caught in a car accident, those are the people that come. And then we spread it out amongst the park and public works, community development, and then central government, 10%. And this is people like to get upset about this and go, how many people does it take to run the city? Is anybody actually doing any work? 10% is a pretty low number. Okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit too. So quick financial history. I like this slide because I like where we came from. Back in 12-13, negative $7 million fund balance. We were working in the red. We had no reserves. We had no spare money. We couldn't do anything. And we didn't. We didn't hire police officers, we didn't have enough firefighters, we didn't have the public safety we needed, we didn't fix some of the roads that you heard the chamber talk about, and now we're in a precarious situation because it would have been easier to fix them then than it is now, but we didn't have the money then. So we had to start doing different things, and look what happened to the staff number. We went from 390 to 347. It's unfortunate. We went from 13 different departments to 5. We became more efficient, got to negative 2 million. We kept going. We got the positive, 4 million, 15, 16, 6 million, 16, 17, 8.9 million in reserves, and then the estimate for 17, 18 is 6.9 million. That $2 million difference is a capital expenditure that was approved in 16, 17. I'm sure Brendan can tell you where it went, or Eric, that isn't going to get spent till here. It'd be really tempting to spend this money. Oh man, it'd be tempting for Mark Warmer to dip in here and say, let's fix some roads, let's do some this, let's do that. We get back to a zero fund balance, there will be another recession at some point. And if you don't want us laying off police officers, where this number needs to go is there. So every day, your finance staff, your admin staff, your city council, Mark Warm, Chris Constantine is trying to figure out how do we make sure that this city is prepared for anything and everything that may happen. So let's look back and see what's being done, what's happening. So we'll start with community. I'm going to go through this pretty fast because I've got some other exciting stuff to talk about. So in community development, increase in customer service levels. Historic development activity staying with 2013 staffing levels. We've talked to the community development department and we've talked to the staff about getting to yes. It used to be, if you had a community development or public works issue, you went to the second floor and they didn't like what you had, they'd just say no, give it back to you and say come back with something different. That wasn't very consumer friendly. The entire culture has changed on the second floor. And they understand that their initiative is get to yes, facilitate the customers and the taxpayers that are paying the salaries and help us get there. And they've been doing it. It's been a monumental change. And anybody that has worked with any of those people, particularly the directors, knows that. Technology upgrades, the tracklet permit system allows online permitting, housing planning, code enforcement, expended online permitting, as well as efficient and accurate fee estimates, the soft file digital archiving, remote access to all public records, which over time as it gets done will save hundreds of hours of time for the public and staff that need to go and find historical records on property and things of that nature. And the staff is at 45% of the last economic surge, so they're doing pretty well. Moving on to public works, the engineering side. This is my favorite part. They secured $2 million in outside funding. Those weren't our sales tax dollars or our property dollars. They came from somewhere else. Innovative ways of financing things for the city of Chico. 3.5 miles of sewer trunk line replacement. Did anybody watch that happen? No, it's not very exciting, but you know what? If it breaks down, you'd all know. Okay, so just one of those things. No one's paying any attention until something goes wrong. The first development impact fee update in 10 years. What that means, development has an impact on the community. Agreed? They use our roads, all those different things. That system had not been updated in 10 years, which means perhaps the developers weren't matching the cost of the impacts of what they were doing. And instead of just hitting them with a bunch of fees, Brendan and his crew sat down with everybody. We're not all the way there yet, which is why it's taken so long. It's been a collaborative effort. So they pay the fair share of how they're impacting your community. What's that? Increase in consistent consultant usage. Why would we do that? So the next time that there's a recession or a downturn, we don't have to lay a bunch of people off. They're using consultants where they can so they can work with the ebb and flows. Plus, what's a beautiful thing about staffing with a consultant? No pensions. I didn't think it was going to happen. Okay, which I fully intend to do. Public works, so outperform the workload. Half the full-time equivalent of a typical department with an equal workload. They look at other cities and see how they're doing. This is just some of the stuff they've done. Subdivision map checks and property sales and abandonments and right-of-way dedications and stormwater agreements and on and on and on and on and on and on. They're working. They're doing a lot of stuff. So moving on to operations. The surveillance cameras in City Plaza. We learned through a great partnership with the Chamber and others that the cameras, and Michael Bryan, our Chief of Police, said cameras deter crime. We finally got them up in City Plaza. How many people would like City Plaza to be safe, clean, and safe? We're getting there. Increased landscape maintenance crews means more landscape maintenance and a higher quality. Why did I put up this painting of the Stansbury House? Because the Stansbury House is iconic in the city of Chico, and it needs to look nice. And Melanie was talking about the broken window theory first. If we don't take care of our own iconic structures, Everything else is going to go to pot 2. We have repaved 74,000 square feet of streets. I know we probably haven't gotten to yours. We're working on it. Removed 43,000 yards of debris and leaves from city streets. Started the Cape Ranker renovation. New picnic tables. That's supposed to be a barbecue up there. Responded, this is important, responded and closed 1,800 service calls, reducing risk and liability for the city. Now, they answered a lot more service calls than that. I'm going to show you exactly what they did. But when they reduce liability, there's a tree that's going to fall on somebody's car or their house or in the middle of the road. This could lead to a lawsuit, something like that. So they're saving us from that. I'm going to talk about the airport in a little bit. This is the breakdown of the public service requests from the Public Works Department. 49% of it, those are street trees. Okay, and we hear this all the time. We're not doing enough for the trees. We need to do this. We need to do this. Everything. And you know what? In all departments, not just the street trees, public works, engineering. All of those people have a process, and they follow the process, and they work very hard not to move things out of process because of special interests. How would I know this? Because I've tried. Don, if we do it for you, because that person's complaining, and this person's going to complain here, and it's going to go back and round and round and round, so they're doing very good, and the same is true with the street trees. We will get that. We will get there. Traffic safety, a lot of facilities, obviously in the city, there's been a lot of call-outs and doing a lot of things. When it comes to the staffing of our public works and our community services departments, this is what they're faced with. And they're doing an incredibly good job meeting the needs in the meantime. So thank you to them. Let's look back, but let's look forward really quick on fire rescue. Our new fire chief is here. Chief Stephen Stanridge, could you stand up? There's your new fire chief. Welcome to town. So what's happened with fire rescue? 12,852 emergency incidents. What's an emergency incident? When the engines and the trucks have to leave the station, it doesn't matter what the reason is. They don't, I mean, they're told. But when dispatch gets the call and somebody has to go, they get in their rigs and they go. So maybe it was a fire, maybe somebody fell down, maybe somebody's having a heart attack, it could have been an accident. It doesn't make any difference. If you call 911 and it's not a police call, I'm pointing here because they're all in the front row. The fire department goes. They go. And how many fires? 344. Is that a lot? Is it a little? I don't know. It's a lot if you don't have a fire department. Even if the number is 0, they still respond to things all the time. 128 intentional incidents. That means somebody intentionally set the fire. 98 unintentionally. That's what we normally think of. You know, my stove lit something on. Lit something on fire in the stove, or I had too many things plugged into the electrical socket. Things of that nature. And then nature equipment. Some of the other ones are under investigation. So the property losses. This is not a fun number. $4.5 million in property losses due to fire and those type of things in the fire department. But that's why I put the next number up there. Property saved, $53 million. We spent somewhere around $12 million in the fire department last year. We can argue about the numbers. That's not a bad ROI. $53 million in saved property. 19,000 mutual aid hours to various jurisdictions. That's when our firefighters go to other... California's been on fire for a while. I don't know if you've noticed. That's when our firefighters go to other jurisdictions. But one of the greatest things they did mutual aid-wise this last year was the spillway incident. Okay, so first of all, we have some of the most highly trained firefighters in the state. We have a swift water rescue crew, which headed down to Oroville in case they needed that. They called our incident commanders because they have more incident command experience and training than anybody else did. And they asked to use Chico's Incident Command Center because the county was in the flood zone. That's bad planning. So a lot going on in the, sorry. For the county. Where's Larry? Police department calls for service, 120,398 calls for service to the police department. The number's up from 112,000. Calls requiring officer dispatch, 77,000. Again, it's up from 72,000. We'll talk about this in a while too. This is a very important number to me. Use of force incidents in 2017, City of Chico with our police officers, 60% of time force is necessary based on calls requiring officer dispatch. It's not 7%, it's 0.07 of 1%. It's a statistical 0. So whatever's happening and whatever anybody's saying about police brutality and all these things in the rest of the country, it is not happening in Chico. We have professional, superbly trained police officers, and Chief, we thank you for leading them. Well done. On the softer side, no statistics. The new CAT RMS system, we waited for a long time, and council struggled with this forever, trying to find how do we get the money to come up with new computer-aided dispatch. for our officers because they're out there without the information a long time. And because of that, word of mouth is what drove a lot of decisions, and this helps the commanders in the field, the police officers have a better idea what's going on there. We filled all 95 funded officer positions. This is the first time this has happened in 5 years. It does not mean that we have a fully staffed police department any more than we have a fully staffed fire department. A fully staffed police department is going to have somewhere around 112 officers. We have a gang unit and traffic unit. It's like a fully staffed fire department. Depending on who we talk to, I think the number is 17 minimum, and we're not there. So we're not there either place. But what this means for the city of Chico is for years, we had funded positions that we couldn't hire police officers for. People would come to me and they say, let's do a sales tax to hire more police officers. I'd say, why? We can't hire the police positions we have open now. It's no longer true because of some of the things the council and the staff did and the leadership of the police department. All the positions are filled. That's good news for all of us. A memorandum of understanding with behavioral health for a crisis response unit. Our police officers, not just here, everywhere in the country, police officers are being asked to do more and more and more and more. It's not enough to be a reactive police officer. You've got to be a mental health specialist and all these different things that happen. So our department has become very proactive when it comes to these, and all these trainings have been going on for years. The MOU with behavioral health is coming before council soon. The crisis intervention training for all officers and dispatches and the formulation of de-escalation of the training team, all those things started 2 years ago and are coming to fruition now. The next slide I don't really need to talk about too much, as Mark Francis talked about admin services and finances. This is awesome. Where's Scott Dowell? Scott, raise your hand. Okay, this guy gives a better presentation to council than anybody we've ever heard. Partly because the slides are good and partly because he brings pie. Refinance former RDA bonds at a savings of $280,000 a year for that's $4.2 million. Scott and staff saved the city $4.2 million without it costing us anything. That's fantastic. That's money we can use for other things. That's innovative and being out of the box. Installation of the new CAD system for PV. This is my favorite part of this one. A second year in a row, clean audit report. The outside auditors come in and say, City of Chico, are you still playing that shell game you were playing 5 years ago? They don't phrase it that way. Okay. Scott shows them all the stuff, and they've 2 years in a row said, good to see you, great job, and they leave. Scott, well done, and to your staff, thank you very much for that. Aggressive lobbying to CalPERS, we're going to talk about that. One solution conversion, I need to ask what that was. It streamlines all the financial, first of all, no more DOS. Does anybody remember what DOS is? We were still using DOS. I learned DOS at summer camp in 1984. No more DOS, all the financial and accounting records online. You can get them from anywhere. Citizens, council, different departments, the city manager, assistant city manager can all see where things are going and how. It does not mean that further councils will not run our finances into the ground, but they should have a better idea it's happening than they did last time. Okay, comprehensive annual financial report. You get that online now to see where all the money's going. And I just want to say this. The level of detail the council and the city manager is getting on the financial picture of the city is like it's never been in the history of the city. It is amazing. All you have to do, and nobody comes anymore. It's your fault. When Mark Sorensen put me on the finance committee, and I thought I was being punished, and I was a little bit. Those meetings were full because nobody knew what was going on, and it was really hard to understand. You know who comes to the finance committee meetings now? It's like me, Mark, and Randall. Nobody comes because most of that stuff it's out there and it's public, and that's how it should be. So that's awesome. Okay, one of the unsung heroes of the city is the city clerk's office. City clerk does a lot of work. 87 public records requests doesn't seem like a lot until you realize you got to review 8,000 pages of documents. They did a full day of training for all the boards and commissions on parliamentary procedures, the Brown Act, conflict of interest. It'd be nice if they'd done this to the council because maybe we'd stop interrupting each other, but maybe that'll come for the next one. RFP for the project manager for the council chambers technology upgrade. Go! You can't go inside anymore, but the next time you go, the city council chambers is going to look completely different. We were talking about DOS. I think the electronic equipment, the microphones and things that were in the council chambers were put there in like 1972. The mics go out, they don't work, the presentations don't work, it's too small, they're on, they're off, someone's making a financial presentation, none of the councilors can see it, the public doesn't see it, they assume we're being shady, we're not, this stuff doesn't work. Okay, that's all being done. It'll be better when you're in the room, it'll be better than, God forbid, those of you that watch city council meetings at home. I've never really understood that. But if you do go online to find something that happened at a city council meeting, the video, the audio will be clear. Currently, it's not. And in addition to that process, 92 different legislative actions, 65 resolutions, and 16 ordinances. City attorney, one of our few contract departments. City attorney is not an employee of the city, saves us on pension costs and things of that nature. Reviewed over 130 contracts, won the case challenging the council's decision to approve a Walmart expansion. Whether you agree with the Walmart expansion or not, the city council said, we are all right with this, and then somebody came in from out of town and said, we're not all right with you deciding what to do with your own town. And we're going to bring in big money from other places, we're going to sue you for it. Didn't work, which is, well, if democracy is going to win, we needed a city attorney that did that. Settled a lot of other cases, saving the city multiple thousands of dollars. They draft all our ordinances, the local vendor purchasing preference, which you should all be happy about, which I just saw Councilor Coolidge over there. He helped push that through. The prohibition of commercial cannabis, which I'm sure we could talk about all day, so we're not going to. Amendment of the manager's CalPERS contribution. I just want to talk about one thing because it's been coming up a lot. I'm getting the questions. A couple of people came to council the other day and said, hey, what's going on this whole scrapyard, whatever your opinion of the scrapyard is. People saying, how much money is the city wasting trying to keep this business where it is right now? And the answer is none, because of our memorandum of understanding with the scrapyard. They are obligated to refund our attorney fees. So they're paying for that, in case you're wondering. Maybe you're not. This is the best picture I could find of Mark Orm. Because the man's a robot. Zero deficit spending. What did I say about that $8 million surplus? It's not a surplus, it goes in reserve. You know how tempting it's got to be for that man to go fix that road or hire another police officer or put some more firefighters on the street, because you could do it tomorrow with the reserves that are there. But one-time money is not well spent on salaries and benefits, which is 80% of the budget, because it just goes away and end up laying those people off. So kudos to him. Not only has he not done it, he does not pressure council to do it. He's got enough influence, he could probably pull it off. Secondly, and then Chief Standards is the newest one, build an innovative, resilient, dedicated leadership team. I've been to a couple department head meetings, and I am amazed at the way these folks interact with one another and their willingness to speak truth to power when they disagree with the direction of the city. Some of them are younger than others, and it is a very dynamic environment, and when the decisions are made, they move forward together. It's a better city. It takes a strong leader to put a group like that together that's willing to speak up. Congratulations, Mark. You've done great with that. Begin, you should applaud him for that, too. Began vital discussions on the homeless and transient issues, because it's actually part of his review. We're going to come back to that. And then partnerships, and this is probably the most important. Whether it's Team Chico, the Chamber of Commerce, the DCBA, 3Com Alliance for Workforce Development. This is a very engaged community and city manager like no other in the state. They've been collecting, you've seen with the state of the city, the special report, collecting valuable information about the quality of life for all the citizens and businesses in Chico. Collaboration is what makes this work. I'm just bringing this slide up again because this is what's happening in the city manager's office as well. There was a time when our city manager had a staff of 14. Mark Warren, there's 3 people in the city manager's office, and he's one of them. Okay, so that's all the stuff in the back. That's all looking back. But we want to talk about the future, right? But before we do, I know some of you are going, oh, wait a minute, what about the elephant in the room that Anastasia talked about? Oh, I ain't got that far yet. I'm coming to your slide, Anastasia, I swear. So what's our goal? A beautiful, safe community that lives up to our mission. You should all know it. A safe place to raise a family, an ideal location for business, and a premier place to live. My first campaign, I got hammered on for repeating that too many times. They said I was singular and unintelligent. Those things are probably true, but it's important that we realize why we're even here. A safe community will attract investment, which will breed success, and more investment causing a positive feedback loop. But here's the next slide I was talking about. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't there something that's going to break the bank? What about the pensions? What about the $119 million in unfunded pension liability? What is the city of Chico doing about that? Well, our admin services staff, headed up by Scott Dow, has had meetings with CalPERS senior staff, with the CEO of CalPERS, with the League of California Cities, putting together a coalition of cities to continue to lobby CalPERS, because California cities cannot keep up with CalPERS' terrible financial management and dictatorial management practices. It can't be done. It's driving some cities to make suicidal strategic decisions. C. Orville. Our city manager has a meeting coming up with the governor's finance staff. What are we trying to do? We're holding pensions down where we can. We're being proactive when possible. We're doing everything legally possible, including trading swaps for pension, money for pensions, doing all we can. But at the same time, we can't just lay off all the staff, because how are we going to get all this stuff done? So that's the first one. What about the airport? Before I move forward, people always want to talk about the airport. Sean, what are you doing about the airport? If you will just fix the airport problem, the economy of Chico will thrive and it'll be like Disneyland. I hear this stuff. There's an LA Times article from January 22nd. As airlines post big profits, small communities lose service. Chico, with a population of 92,000, is one of 20 communities in the U.S. to lose regular commercial air service in the last 4 years. In California, commercial flights ended to 3 cities, Chico, Modesto, and Visalia. I don't know why anybody goes to Modesto or Visalia, but that's beside the point. More than any other state. The closures grew out of lessons learned by the airline industry during tough financial years capped by the last recession. This is the important part. Airlines began merging and tightening operations, which led to reducing or eliminating services to many small communities that rely on turboprop planes carrying as few as 50 passengers. Instead, airlines have invested in a more profitable strategy of adding big planes packed with cramped seats to routes connecting big city airports. That's what we're up against. We didn't do that. But what are we doing? We haven't forgotten about the airport. We do have a full-time airport manager. She is using and increasing her already extensive relationships in the airline industry, letting them know Chico is open for business. And stats like you've heard lately and from the editorial the other day certainly help. She's pursuing economic development opportunities at the airport with flight schools and all manner of different businesses to increase the level of economic activity, because it all makes the airlines pay more attention. Our fixed base operator just approached me a couple weeks ago and asked, hey, can you put me in touch with the chamber? They're reaching out to more corporate and private aircraft owners who look to Chico and like it better than other regional airports. So all activity at the airport is better. And then on top of that, members of the community, most notably Jet Chico, are promoting Chico, designing terminals, and lobbying airlines. And those are all the things that we can do. It's like CalPERS. We're doing all the things we can do. So, the word cloud here is about 20% of the dynamics that your city council and your city staff looks at when they're moving forward with new initiatives. And that's what we're going to talk about now. The Chico Way. When I first joined the council, we used to hear a lot about the Chico Way. And I thought it meant ignore the financial consequences of any decision we're making and charge forward with feel-good initiatives. Now, I don't know if that was right or wrong, but you don't hear people saying it anymore. So today we would like to introduce to you a new vision, a new way of thinking, and yes, and I apologize for it, a new acronym. And the acronym is ACT. Accountability, Compassion, Together for Chico. Why? Why ACT? Well, number one, the quality of life crimes in Chico aren't going away. One hit of heroin has a street cost of $20. The average addict needs 5 hits a day. Where do you think that addict is getting that money? They're stealing from your purse. They're taking your bicycles. They're stealing the laptop off the front seat of your car. They're breaking into your car to steal the wallet you thought was safely put in your glove compartment box in front of your car. They're shoplifting from your retailers. They're doing all kinds of things. I'm going to read a letter to you, and I apologize for the length, but it's important to where this community needs to go. I got it last Saturday. I did ask for permission from the author, who I'm not going to tell you who it is, if I could read it. She says, "Hi, Sean. A little over a year ago, I took my kids for a bike ride in Bidwell Park. Not one time did I feel safe. Not one stop did I make did I not see something disgusting like underwear, cigarette butts, or something else that made me get back on my bike and keep riding. I've kept my kids clear from Bidwell Park, downtown, and numerous other spots in this town. The thought of not being able to take my kids to these places that I used to enjoy growing up is very sad to me. I've dealt with the filth, cleaned up some myself. Dealt with the homeless, helped a few myself. Dealt with feeling unsafe, got protection myself. Dealt with the drug issue, made a few phone calls myself. But what happened last Saturday just makes me sick to the point I can't stop wondering what the hell is going on in this town. Imagine dropping your son off for practice at Saturday morning at Chico High, take your daughter and her friends who are just 9 years old and very excited to be with each other, out for a special treat. You get to the coffee shop after the girls have had their treats. You want them to use the restroom before they head back to Chico High. The bathrooms have a combination lock. And they ask the lady at the register for the code, and we happily skip back to the restaurant rooms, explaining to the girls the combination locks are there to keep the transients out. I let my daughter's friend go into one bathroom for privacy. I headed over to the other one. I was going to wait in the hall. But when he opened the bathroom door, we see 2 people with needles shooting up. I pushed my daughter back, slammed the door, and run back to the other bathroom. The drug abusers walked out casually like nothing had happened. One went out into the street. The other one just sat down with a friend and enjoyed their coffee. Once unsafe yet again, I confronted the manager who asked the men to leave and blocked off the bathroom. The following day, I was still upset. I called the business to ask them, why did they let this happen? They said, well, unfortunately, this happens all the time. They put the locks on the doors to keep people out, but they figure it out. There's not much they can do about it. We call the police, but the people are gone by the time the police get here, so we don't call them anymore. But you're welcome to. So that's it. Has it really gotten to the point in this town that everyone is like, whatever, let them do what they want, when they want, and who cares about the rest of us? It's sick. So I say, what the hell is going on in this town? And I wrote her back, and I apologized. And I said, first of all, it's kind of like CalPERS. It's not necessarily just what's going on in this town. We're dealing with AB 109 and Prop 47 and Prop 57, and our friends from the state legislature that are here are working and doing everything they can to turn that around, but they're faced with their own dynamics down there. So what's it mean? The addicts and those with mental health issues, they're not getting any better. The police department can't keep up. The service providers are overwhelmed, duplicated, and some of them are lacking coordination. So more, why act? The status quo isn't working. We can raise the level of accountability and compassion at the same time. We can do it. Can government do it alone? Absolutely not. Can this community come together and do it? Absolutely. And here's the evidence. You heard Melanie talk about the P-bid. There it happened. A group of community members got together, decided to tax themselves to clean up downtown. And Melanie showed you some great pictures, but if you haven't driven through downtown and noticed lately, you're not paying attention. There's no trash there anymore. It's gone. They started the power washing today. You also can't drive down there without seeing one of the downtown ambassadors in their green shirts. They're everywhere, and it's making a difference. So it has happened. It can happen. So, community court. What I'm going to talk to you about right now is a concept. It is in the infant stages, but it's being vetted out at all levels by multiple stakeholders. It started with the idea of an embedded prosecutor. It led to something. This is going to be bad. It's been successful in cities like Dallas, Spokane, even New York City. It's about local solutions to local problems, because if we keep waiting for other people to fix the problems of Chico, it will never happen. It's about and requires massive collaboration. This was given to us by the City of Spokane Community Court, City of Chico's site visit. City Manager Mark Warren went, Chief of Police Michael Bryan went, and former Deputy DA Helen Harberts, who's in the audience today, went to see how do you guys do community court in Spokane, Washington. They were going to go to New York. Turns out they could go a little closer, and there is a whole book on how to do it, how to get it set up, and how to move forward. So, what is it? Oh, make a big mess. I'm the last speaker, right? Doesn't matter. In many cases, the criminal justice system has become a revolving door for offenders. Traditional court sanctions and state law do little to change behavior, make streets safer and cleaner, or enhance a community's quality of life. And we've definitely seen that in the city of Chico. Community courts, I'm going to tell you how it works, seek to build stronger and safer neighborhoods. I can't pronounce the next word. Reduce recidivism and improve participants' lives by addressing the underlying problems that lead them to commit crimes. Community courts take a problem-solving approach with a strong emphasis on building partnerships and collaborations among community groups, government agencies, and service providers. This is the most collaborative city in the state of California. This is right for us. They work to hold participants in the community court, people that get in trouble. We call them participants, it's a nice word. They work to hold participants accountable, but also give them an opportunity to correct problems, give them a second chance. They give service referrals after fully assessing individuals. They hold firmly to the notion that participants who are adversely affecting the quality of life of a community should give back to the community by providing community service. So let's say you call someone's illegal camping in the park or your yard, or they broke your window, or they did any of these things. Probably those people aren't getting prosecuted anyway, but even if they do, even if they get arrested and they go to jail, you never see any benefit of that, right? Maybe they got punished, maybe they not. But imagine the people that did that. If they have to say yes. They say, you know what, I want a second chance. Imagine if they were given community service and ended up downtown or in the park cleaning up debris or cleaning up bubble gum or whatever it was. We give them a second chance to provide back to the community they showed up in. It offers swift consequences for individuals who commit quality of life crimes, such as, this has to be agreed upon. What will our community prosecutors be allowed to prosecute? Something we have to agree on with the district attorney, the sheriff, the court system. All of these people are being talked to. Nothing has been approved yet. But what kind of quality of life crimes? Theft, vandalism, illegal lodging, trespassing. Have you seen any of this go on in the city of Chico or the state of California? And so far, it doesn't look like anything's being done. And then we offer community service sentences. You want to clean graffiti, you want to scrub sidewalks, you want to clear up trash and cans, how you want to do it. So how's it work? Misdemeanors and code violations are sent to the community court. So if they get a citation from a police officer, they've got to show up at the community court. The community court will be staffed probably in the beginning with volunteer former prosecutors. Depends on what we work out with the judge and the DA and those people. There's a need-based assessments made. Does this person have an addiction? Do they have a mental health issue? Are they jobless? What caused them to commit that crime? Not just, oh, you're a bad guy, here you go. Right now, you're a bad guy, and maybe they get arrested, they go to Orville, and they're just let out anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. So need-based assessment. Then, best part, services are explained and offered. Community service sentencing and reporting standards are given. So if you've got jobless, you need job training, they're told this is where you can get that. We need to know that you went out there. You've got to report back next week and every week for the next 16 weeks, whatever, and your community service is going to be whatever. Report to 3rd Main, work with the PBID people, and clean up that street for 4 hours, however that's going to work. Okay? But that's their second chance, and they have to agree to it. That's why we call them a participant. It's a volunteer program. You resist those services, the community service or reporting, a arrest warrant will be issued for you. And this is the important part when dealing with the DA, the judges, and Sheriff Honey. We are going to ask them to come down on those people that refuse our attempt to give them a second chance. That does two things. We get to finally hold some of these people accountable, and maybe most importantly, the message gets out that Chico is the wrong community to violate the civil procedures that the people believe in equality of life. Community courts serve to reduce the use of jail time, link participants to social services, end the cycle of ineffectiveness, sift needs-based individuals from service resistant. We know there are people that need help. You know what? I haven't been there, but if you're a drug addict, I bet it's hard to make good decisions. If you have mental health issues, I bet it's hard to make good decisions. If you're homeless because you don't have a job and you're hungry, I bet it's hard to make good decisions. If we can link those people where they can get comprehensive services, allow them to fix the wrong, that gives them their dignity back. But there are some people that are resistant, and we can't help them. And they either need to get punished or go elsewhere. So act, accountability, compassion, together. This only works. The community court idea only works if we add compassion to it. I believe the community court is compassion in and of itself. Well, we need the compassion side. We need co-location of comprehensive services. We need coordination among all our service providers. Not just the ones, I can name them and you can name them. There's groups, whether they're feeding people in the plaza or in front of City Hall or at 20th Street, and some of you know, some of you don't. But to the extent that we're feeding someone and empowering them to continue to live under a bridge, that does not help them at all. So we need to get on the same page with our service providers and come up with the idea of the Consolidated Service Center. Now, the council has talked about this a little bit already. Shelter, meals, a day center, work training and placement. Right now there's nowhere for those people to go during the day. But if we can offer them one place where they know, and the police officers know, who are having to work as mental health professionals anyway, and the mental health professionals know, hey, at this location, if you decide to be a participant in this program, you can get shelter, you can get meals, there's somewhere for you to spend during the day, you can get work training, we can find help for your addiction services, we can do those. we can end the fragmentation, because right now we have people that are using all our different service providers, and the service providers don't know it. There's no incentive to get better. You just go service shopping, one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help the service providers, and you're wasting your money if you're giving them to them. I'm not saying don't give them money. What I'm saying is the shotgun approach to ending the homelessness transient problem has not worked. It hasn't worked here. You shouldn't feel bad. It hasn't worked anywhere else either. The whole idea is to ease suffering for those individuals, for the people that are using the parks and the creeks and the city plaza to spend their days and their nights trying to get better. And that's not where you get better. What needs to happen? Well, we need buy-in. We need buy-in from the service providers. We need buy-in from the business owners, the public. We certainly need it from behavioral health. We'd like behavioral, and we need certainly from the court system. They all have to be part of this. We need to relocate the BMX track, because that's where the Jesus Center we hope to put. It's city property. We've talked about it with the BMX people. We had a member of the community come forward and say, hey, I think I've got land that I'm willing to donate to the BMX track so we can move them there. The Jesus Center wants to move out to that site. It's closer to the Tory shelter. They can start working together. We've talked to behavioral health. Behavioral health said we'd like to move in, not necessarily move our facility there, but have a presence there. So that's the place you can go for the services for your behavioral health problems. Unfortunately, the Employment Development Department's like moving to the Mervyn's building or something because we didn't get this done soon enough. But this is like 3 weeks in the making. Sorry. Better late than never. But we'll get something. So we need buy-in from all those people. Who does Act Chico help? It helps everybody. You can't name someone it doesn't help. The service providers, the police department, the addicts, the hospital, the mentally ill, the university, those in need, our students. It helps the entire community. Now what can you do? And I've got to give full credit to this slide to Katie Simmons. Because when I knew this is what we were going to talk about at the State of the City, I went and met with her and Anastasia and said, hey, this is what we're doing, kind of what do you think? She got excited about it, went home and said, Sean, everybody can do something. Businesses can and should prosecute shoplifters who are stealing shopping carts full of stolen property, leaving them on parks and waterways. The city can emphasize the best use of property through proper planning, offering the BMX track somewhere to go, letting the Jesus Center move in there, and code enforcement to make sure everybody's working within code. Service providers can responsibly deploy services that don't perpetuate the problem and acknowledge that dispersed and uncoordinated services cause huge gaps and cracks that people fall through every day, hurting both them and the community. Citizens can lend a hand investing in comprehensive solutions. If you want to help move the BMX track, help move the Jesus Center, work with the Tory shelter, whatever it is that you're doing fits into this model. But when we're doing it going 100 different directions, we're not getting any kind of good return. Individuals in need of services can get their needs met in ways that don't put our quality of life at risk. So you see something in the initial plan and you think it's lacking something. All this is the first step. I said it's in the infant stages. It's a concept. The first step in creating a balanced pathways to honor Chico's generous, compassionate nature and accommodate high expectations for the quality of the community. Is this how the union owes you? He's going to kill me later. Okay. If you love Chico, and you call it home or you want to, that's why I love this acronym. Act it. Support these plans. Find something you're comfortable with and stick to it. Help us move in the direction we're talking about. If you can't do that, then you find a comprehensive solution before you dismiss what we're talking about out of hand. Because the rest of us are going to build a quality of life that is the envy of cities across the state and across the nation for everyone that wants to participate. And then my last part is a final quote from Chico, Life and Times of the City of Fortune. The last sentence in the book. Because we've always been this type of community. The Bidwells went into debt to foster the community and gifted the city with one of the largest parks in America. The Machuta sacrificed all their land. Countless citizens have served the area by giving countless hours of their time to create, protect, and preserve. The community has worked to make Chico a city of fortune today. And if we'll work together, what these initiatives are about is lining all our ducks up to make sure we create the best possible community for all of our citizens. I hope that you'll join us. Thank you for coming today.
So I see a couple of people leaving, but we still have a Q&A period for our panelists, and I can't believe that a room really of this magnitude doesn't have any questions. So send those question cards to our volunteers, wave, and grab them up. Bring them up to me, please. So Sean, you've left a paper trail over here. You're not leaving it. One of the things that I really wanted to emphasize as we talk about crime reduction in our community are a couple of details that we learned in retail roundtables we hosted with major retailers in Chico. So we met with about 30 different retailers, and these are all businesses that you've been in before. And we were really surprised to hear the level of theft reaches $250,000 or more for some individual businesses. You would be very surprised. One business reports a loss of $47,000 in makeup alone, $7,000 in flashlights. Some of the most popular stolen items from our retailers are flashlights, bolt cutters, knives, those kinds of things. Not very safe. One of the things that we talk about in these retail roundtables is the importance of the business taking a proactive stance, which means someone comes into your business, you watch them shoplift, maybe they haven't left yet, maybe they've just walked out the door, call the police department, report it, and prosecute. And the difference that makes, for example, we talk a lot about AB 109, Prop 47 and 57, and how we feel a little bit helpless because we don't have the teeth, I guess, as we used to say. But think about this scenario. Someone steals a $20 bottle of supplements from a Whole Food store, some kind of natural food store in Chico. And they walk out and the business says, well, there's $20 gone, not a big deal. That person could have a number of warrants out. They could have a felony warrant out. They could be driving a stolen vehicle. They could be trafficking in Chico. So the business engagement, even at that level, is really, really necessary. So what the Chamber is trying to do is to get the word out, talk with businesses about the fact that calling the police department, reporting these crimes, prosecuting if someone is apprehended is the right thing to do because it's happening in our community and we need to be very vocal about it. So that's one of the things I want to say. So Sean, thinking about that example, and maybe you want to defer to the chief, and I want to make sure our table mics are on. Thinking about that example, what else, and maybe you just did a great job sort of outlining what the community can do this year, but what else can businesses do to help be part of the solution actively? Because I know a lot of businesses rely on the Chamber, and we do as much as we can, but individual businesses want to take action as well.
I didn't hear anything after I started. Okay.
Yeah, I think, Katie, it's a great question. I think we already talked about it. We need the retail businesses and places that are getting shoplifted, that certainly needs to happen, and we need them to prosecute. When you have businesses that you're calling the police department, you're complaining about trespassers and things of this nature, we need you to prosecute those people. It doesn't do anybody any good. If you say, oh, I don't want anything, I just want them moved away, because to your point is they go and commit a crime somewhere else. I think you'll see in the next few weeks, and the chief may want to speak to this, and the first thing Mark said to me when I sat, this is going to cost money. Well, everything costs money.
That's not a bad thing.
No, I didn't say okay, so everybody just heard Mark Francis is singly funding the community court program. I'd like to say that it happened here. But no, he's not alone. And we know that this community is willing to step up, the PBID being a great example of that, to make things a little better. And Helen and the chief have more information on any of that. And we're going to be reaching out to people saying, where can we get space? Where can we get prosecutors? Where can we get people to help with this court? That certainly be able to help with money, certainly be able to help with time, but now I'm on a roll. All those things that need to happen, maybe you happen to own a backhoe. Well, we need to move the BMX track. There's a lot of dirt involved. We've got to move that. We've got to set that up for them. The Jesus Center is going to move. You might help motivate other businesses or service providers that might think, you know what, I'm not very excited about this idea. Well, great. What is it you're doing? And redirect those dollars that are excited about moving together on one pathway with the rest of the community.
Great. We have another related question, and I think this is a good opportunity for clarification. Someone from the audience asks, is there enough jail space for the enforcement segment of ACT where needed? So what is the relationship between jail space and the community court concept?
Well, it's fantastic, and the answer is no, by the way. There's not enough jail space. The whole point, and Helen, interrupt me if I'm wrong, the idea, it's kind of embarrassing that the senator is picking up my paper.
You've left a paper trail over here. We're trying to...
That's all copyrighted, sir. The idea is to lessen the impact on the jails to begin with. And this is actually, in my opinion, this is a gift to the court system and the jail system, because if people will choose the community court idea, they won't end up there anyway. Now, are some people going to fall through the cracks and have to be prosecuted and sent to the jail? They are. Hopefully not as many as we might think, and we send the message out that this isn't the place to do that, and they go other places. And Helen's dying to take the mic from me, I can tell.
Well, not really, but microphone.
Helen Harberts, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, guys. The answer to that is yes and no, like everything else. There is inadequate jail space for the things that are going through your Superior Report now that you really don't want to know or think about. But this model will move very swiftly. So the reality is right now, if you're arrested for some low-level crime, you're given a citation to appear in Oroville 30 to 60 days from now. If you have a substance use disorder, mental health disorder, or if you're just a jerk, you don't show. And you can't remember, right? And how do you get there? Well, then they get a warrant. And then we arrest them on the warrant, we cite them to appear. And another 60 days goes by. You get in the drift here? It's useless. The community court will most likely be sitting 3 days a week, and if you touch Chico PD, within 24 hours you'll be touching me. And that ain't good. So we think every 24 to 48 hours, everyone who is touched is going to see us, and they're going to see us quickly. And I was one of the people with Darrell Stevens who started the drug court, and I understand that reaching out and saying, you're going to be all right and you're safe here, actually brings people back a lot better than me giving them a stink eye. So there's going to be heavy engagement, not much enforcement. We are set up, however, to get ready to pull the trigger when we have to. So somebody's going to go, and they're going to go hard, but it won't be too many people, because I found the majority of people, when we say, I'm glad you're here, everything's going to get better, they actually come back. And they just love to see the judge.
So in this concept, one of the questions is, how do we ensure that the burden cost is not put on the service providers who are already impacted?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. So there's two answers. The first one is, given the stack of questions you might have, every T is not crossed and every I is not dotted. This is an initiative, because you know what, we could have done this and we could have said, this is a dumb idea, let's just keep doing what we're doing. The service providers are already bearing the burden of that cost. The community's already bearing the burden of that cost. The police department's bearing the burden of that cost. The fire department's bearing the burden of that cost. And the hospital's bearing the burden of that cost. If we do this effectively, we do it like Spokane did, we do it like Dallas did, we do it like New York City did, it will be better for everybody, including the people that need the services the most.
A couple of questions about the revenue measure that we talked about a little bit earlier. And speaking of T's not being crossed and I's not being dotted, this is a perfect example of that. So some of the questions are, what are the details of the revenue measure, and then the inclusion of fire staffing in the revenue measure. I think the best answer to that question at this point is that the revenue measure hasn't been drafted. So what the Chamber has done with this publication is sort of, do some due diligence in terms of saying what we learned about what's holding our community back. Why aren't we out there fixing the roads? Why aren't we hiring more cops? Why is our fire department shrinking? I can't tell you how many community safety meetings I've been to where I've heard someone say, they listen to the conversation and they just sort of say, well, let's just hire a couple more cops and then the problem is solved. It's not that simple for very complex reasons, and we try to do our best to sort of illustrate those answers in this publication. But the revenue measure hasn't been drafted. This is the start of a community conversation that is going to engage a number of groups, certainly departments within the city, certainly the city council, business community, citizens, other groups, where we really talk about what's possible. Is the city council going to put it on the ballot? Are citizens going to put it on the ballot? A lot of unknown things, I think, at this point, more unknowns than known. But what we've done, what the Chamber has done, is we've answered the question, why can't we hire more cops? Why can't we just fix our roads? As Sean said, there are lots of reasons for those, sort of deficiencies within our community, and we're doing our best just to shine a light on them, to start the community conversation, to galvanize all of us around problem solving. So a couple of other questions. You mentioned a partnership with behavioral health. This probably goes back to Sean. Have you approached Enloe Medical Center or any other medical providers about healthcare services on site? And I know you just got done saying that there are some gray areas here, but can you answer even a little bit of this question right now?
There's not some gray areas. The whole thing is a gray area. As a matter of fact, one of the conversations I had with the chief and the city manager the other day was, is this too soon? And he says, no, if we don't get this in the heads and the minds of the citizens, we'll never get anywhere. So Enloe Hospital has certainly been engaged. Have you met with Mike yet? I mean, I was going to say, Mike Woltermuth, Mark Orm, and all that has happened. And I don't want to speak for anybody. I don't want to go as far as to say, oh, Enloe's on board, or this person's on board, that because no one's signing anything or doing anything like that. But everybody and every stakeholder that we think we need to move forward and start taking the next steps has said, yes, let's keep going. Enloe being a key one of those.
So this question is for the police chief, to the extent he can answer this question. Please have the Chico police chief describe how business owners can ensure that CPD officers are responsive to trespasser calls. And I know that trespasser calls have been a big part of the retail roundtable, so how can you address that?
So, I am used to clearing out bars, but not quite that loudly. So that is a good question. So you saw the slide that the mayor provided. We send cops to 77,000 calls for service in a year. That's over 200 a day. That's a lot. And that's not me making an excuse as your police chief. All I'm saying is that we prioritize every single call that comes into that dispatch center, and we go to them as quickly as we can. We have to triage. That's the nature of our business. But I do want to encourage businesses to continue to call. We will get there eventually, sometimes quicker than other times, depending on what's going on in your community. Obviously, if there's someone who is being assaulted, someone who is being attacked, some kind of crime of violence, we have to prioritize those calls first. But I want to encourage businesses to continue to call. As you're seeing, people are responding. Businesses are responding. People are calling more than they ever have. That is a good thing. That is a sign of a community that wants to see something done. And like the mayor, like Helen was saying, we are hopeful that community court and ideas like that are going to reduce some of that burden so we can get out to those calls quicker and more efficiently.
Thank you, Chief. So we have a couple of questions about tiny houses and affordable rents and low-income apartments. I'm wondering if, the question is, I'm told you want tiny homes in Chico. Wouldn't it be better to have low-income apartments that charge rent according to a person's income? So the 0 to 1% vacancy rate in Chico, obviously we know that there's a lot of compression right now. Anything you want to say about affordable housing, Mayor?
Housing isn't affordable in California, and it's a political problem more than anything else.
Okay, it sounded like the answer. So this comes from someone in the audience as well. Often in Chico, compassion is conflated with lenience. How do you or we align leniency to gain support and buy-in? So how do we essentially turn around some of that leniency to gain support and buy-in for the kind of balance between accountability and compassion you're trying to create?
Okay, so I'm going to turn this around and ask a question. In your initial view of this idea, how many of you are excited about it? I was hoping for applause, but that's okay. And it was not my idea. Like I said from the beginning, this entire thing is a whole collaboration. My slide set, the city staff, Helen and the chief and the city manager and the DA and all these different people. But when it comes to the question that now I've forgotten what it was. How do you deal with the leniency thing? So Mike explained this a long time ago. The chief of police says, the level, I'm going to stand up because I know you can't see me. And this is where this is going to get unpopular for me, or for some of you.
So the level of compassion in the city of Chico has been here for a long time, and there's nothing wrong with that. We are a very compassionate community, and we help people, and we give, and we give, and we give, and we give, and we give. The level of accountability in this city has been down here for a long, long, long time. And part of that was because we did not have the resources to enforce some of the code we have. We didn't have some of the ordinances that we need. And then also AB 109, Prop 47, Prop 57 kept us from raising the level of accountability. And conversations I've had with people, because people will come to me all the time. Say, I was in San Luis Obispo the other day. It's fantastic. It's this. They don't have any homeless problems, any transient stuff. And then Napa's ill. Oh, I was in Napa. They don't have any of this. They don't have any of that. And I'm like, what level of service providers do they have? Are there 12? Are there 15? Are there 2? Well, there aren't very many. Well, one way you could equal the accountability and compassion levels is to get rid of all the service providers. But A, that's a bad idea. It's not very compassionate, and it would never fly here. Okay? I'm not taking a position. I'm just saying. One of my fears in raising the level of accountability, whether it's ordinances, whether it's police officers, is if we raise the level of accountability and we raise the level of compassion, we just move the gap. Okay? What's fantastic about this program, the accountability part is compassionate. We're going to give you a chance to have dignity. Do you want to have a second chance? Do you want to work yourself out of addiction? Do you want to work yourself, well, mental health is a little different thing. Do you want to get the job and things of that nature? And help them make those decisions they can't make themselves. It's accountability and compassion together, hence the acronym. Right? So it has to work together. A court without the compassion side doesn't work in this community. Okay? More service providers, and we're seeing this happen. More service providers offering more fragmented services makes the quality of life worse in this community. I love our service providers. I love what they're doing. We're asking them to work all together. Accountability and compassion together. That's why the acronym is what it is. It all works together. What was the question? No, I'm not going there.
So one of the other questions from the audience, and I guess too, maybe we could, we're getting close to time, kind of wrap up that topic by saying that there will be lots of questions after this presentation because this is sort of your formal rollout. What is kind of the timing that people can expect for some details to come together, and where do those questions really go at this point?
So the chief has an idea of his timeline, and I am not going to share it for 2 reasons. A, he may or may not, through no fault of his own, be able to do it. B, if we share it, people will be like, oh, there's another failed initiative in the city of Chico. You said it would happen on June 3rd, and here we are, June 4th, and nothing's happened. Failed government again. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, again, strong collaboration with the district attorney, with the sheriff, with the judges at the court, and we need everybody moving together on board, in addition to the service providers. Okay? Everybody has to be together. Now, why didn't we get everybody in a room? Why didn't we start this with everybody in the room right here? Bring in all the judges, all the police officers, all the service providers, and everybody else, and say, hey, what do you guys want to do? Because we'd end up where we already are. We have 112 different solutions, none of which are working together. So is there a timeline? No. I'm going to go with inside a year. But just moving the Jesus Center is tough. We found somewhere for the BMX track to go. We've got to move them. There's no point in asking them to move until the Jesus Center is ready to move. That's going to require effort and money. Okay, and then we need the coordination of the services. We need behavioral health to show up. Because if we, what's a nice term for half-assed? Because I don't want to say that. Okay? If we don't do it right, it'll fail, and we'll be right back where we are. So it's going to take as much time as it takes to get it done right, but it's not going to be 3 years from now. We need to fix this now, and this is the way to do it. But can I give you, it'll be 6 months or 3 months or 2 months? No, within the year.
Okay. Switching gears entirely, an audience member wants to know if the improved stock market will impact the CalPERS shortfall.
Not the way CalPERS runs it. I have absolutely no effect. Because it already would have. Mark ones up might come out.
So there are a couple of questions. One of the questions is, what is the reason for additional homeless transient people on the streets? I think that's probably a tough question to kick over to our panelists because there are so many reasons behind why someone becomes homeless or is experiencing or choosing transiency. So that's a really difficult question. There is some, a follow-up request for the conversation on compassion versus leniency. I would encourage that audience member maybe to address the panelists after we close. With that, I want to thank everybody really for coming today. I want to thank our...
Just really quick.
Sure, go ahead, jump in.
People don't necessarily want to ask questions right now or not publicly, so when this is over, okay, I'm going to ask a couple people to stand up that I know have been part of these conversations.
Sure.
Certainly Chief O'Brien.
Okay.
City Manager Mark Orm. Former Prosecutor Helen Herberts. Where's Laura Kutsona? Who we've kind of dragged along. They've been part of these conversations. It doesn't mean they're the only people who've been part of these conversations. These are good people to ask questions of.
Okay.
About the community court things and the compassion side.
Okay, I think that's great. Thank you for that opportunity to really engage the community members with the people who have been working on this solution for the community. So with that, I really want to thank the sponsors of the Chico Chamber of Commerce, our community impact partners, legacy members, visionary members, the businesses who have talked with us throughout the years and continue to engage with us on solutions, certainly our board, our elected officials who are here today, our panelists. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming.